Hello everyone, it's me Varus, and in this video I'll be giving you an update on the tropics, the cold blast on the way that will induce our first frost watches, frost advisories, freeze watches, and freeze warnings for portions of the US, especially central and northeastern US. And I'll also give you an update on, again, the tropics. It's pretty big topic, staying pretty active. What I won't be talking about is severe weather, as it's been slacking off, and based on my past few videos, haven't really been any notable severe weather changes. However, some scattered marginal risk, you could say, across the U.S. If you do hear any background noise, just my fan, some music going on, but hopefully this $100 mic's able to block it all out. But yeah, let's start with the National Weather Service alerts and indices, as we usually do. Starting in the west, we have some flood watches in the desert southwest, portions of Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and SoCal. Some will get upgraded in flood warnings, and we'll have to watch, I'd say, especially closer to the coast, as that's where most of this tropical moisture is getting pulled up by low pressure that's generally heading eastward. Further north and west, we got some wind advisories in Nevada, central Nevada, and some dense fog advisories in Washington, and this is actually a little frost advisory for Valley in Idaho. Overall, besides the flood watches and some wind advisories, pretty quiet in the west. Central U.S., same story, pretty quiet, anywhere from portions of Colorado through Illinois and even through Texas, the deep south, even portions of the southeast, just quiet. Some wind advisories for portions of South Carolina and extreme eastern Georgia, some portion right through here. Now, going further north, this is where I'd say one of the headlines are. These are all cold weather associated advisories. Besides this green right here, those are coastal flood advisories. Starting in this kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, just like this dull blue, you could say. These are all frost advisories, okay? Those are when temperatures are at or above 32 degrees, which will lead to frost formation, as well as winds being non-existent and clear skies. In these deeper blues, you have freeze warnings, which is when temperatures are at or below 32, so freezing or sub-freezing. And that's for portions of Michigan, the UP county in Pennsylvania, and about a few counties over here in upstate New York. And then in these light blues are freeze watches. So most of these, I'd say, will get replaced by frost advisories, whereas some of the higher elevations, maybe some portions of New York, maybe like portion of the Poconos and Allegheny Mountains could get upgraded into some freeze warnings, okay, especially the highest peaks. So that's that. Besides that, that's all that's going on in the mainland U.S. Let's talk about these temperatures. Is this really going to be crashing? Usually, I used to use dew points, but I really want to see these temperatures, as you'll clearly still see the cold front. This cold front is really strong, to be honest. Like, it's a short, transient, living cold front, okay, but it's still going to be very, very notable. Right now, 7 p.m. October 8th, so I mean, this is all just daytime meaning that's still going on. But if I kind of back it up, you can see that front right here, pretty well defined off the temperature. This is where that front is, okay? The temperatures behind still need to play catch up as it came through during the daytime. But as you do see, these temperatures are really going to drop tonight. This is into the east. We can actually zoom into the eastern U.S. right now. And yeah, you see widespread 40s, all even reaching into portions of Kentucky, northern Tennessee, obviously the Appalachian chain back through Mississippi, North Carolina, Virginia, even back to portions in the 95, all the way through the shores of Jersey, getting through New York City, possibly could be urban heating there, but outside for sure. Boston, all the way up through, all these are 40s, and 30s are a little more localized, still pretty early in the year, but you do see clear 30s. Okay, so some of these temperatures are really weird, but you see 30s going on all through here. It's kind of wanky drawing. Overall, you see 30s. It's because of this, because we have local effects. So like we got some higher elevation here. It's more rural over here in portions of Wisconsin. Like no one lives in Wisconsin. And then we have the Appalachian chain clearly reflecting cooler temperatures, and obviously up here in the north where we got the mountains in Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, upstate New York, etc. So that's where it's cold. Now this is Thursday morning, okay? This isn't even the worst of it. If we continue to see a even bigger push that actually brings 30s all the way down through portions of Indiana, like Indianapolis could end up with upper 30s, all the way through 30s, almost get to areas of like the northwestern suburbs of Philly. So it's really gonna get cold, and I would even argue we get one more cold night. I don't know if it's gonna go fully out. And just quickly switch to the 12 km, and you can see, not as evident here, but we could see one more pool. But I'd say Friday morning for sure is where we're gonna see the coolest of temperatures. So frost headlines will get, I think extended through portions. I think it will be northwest of I-95 for sure. Somewhere through here, even through maybe Connecticut. I wouldn't be surprised if some little suburbs that are closer to the cities along the 95 do get frost, even if they're not in the advisory area. But for now, for widespread frost, it'd definitely be a little more north and west. But it's not long before the cities get into it as well. Let's talk about the tropics, and I'm just going to get a nice wide view. We'll start from the Atlantic. We have Tropical Storm Jerry right here, recent big-time convective burst, looking pretty healthy. Convection mainly lopsided to the north and east. However, generally moving west-northwest before it could impact some of the northern Leeward Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands before recurving out, making a close pass to Bermuda. And so that's Jerry. Out to the west, this is Hurricane Priscilla, not looking very impressive as it gets into a more sheared and especially drier environment and cooler waters. However, it is expected to make a turn towards land, but it'll only be as a depression. Still watch for heavy rains, some gusty winds, and localized flooding. And then this is going to be really hard to see, but this right here is Tropical Storm Octave, about 40 mile per hour tropical storm, I think. By next advisory should be a depression. Also generally heading west, but could actually get absorbed into Priscilla. If not, just going to break down. Some islands are actually located over here, very small and hard to see on radar. But those could get some gusty winds and some outer bands. But overall, very weak. Now, what I am watching is this area right here, especially down towards the Pacific. It has an 80% chance of developing in the next 48 hours and in the next 5 days. So that does look to be our next system. And that could also have early signs of affecting portions of the southern portion of Baja California. Sorry, blanked out a bit there. But those are the main storms we're watching, so we'll keep an eye on those. Let's start in the actually Eastern Pacific. Not going to go over the Atlantic because it looks pretty quiet after Jerry. And overall, I just showed you the path very clear. I just want to show you guys what happens with this disturbance right here, because I still want to talk about the West Coast, even though I don't live on the West Coast because I live on the East Coast. But it still looks like this could affect land, and there you have it. It has trended weaker, I will say, but does show it getting at least a weak tropical storm, at least moderate tropical storm, 989 by 8 a.m. Saturday. Quickly weakens, but could landfall as a weak tropical storm in portions of Baja California before moving inland, which is going to contribute to some of those flooding rains we saw on the National Weather Alerts and Ensues. And even behind that, still some activity lingers. Doesn't look as strong. Then Atlantic could get active. Let's talk about the U.S., see what the weather is going on in the U.S. So there's your precipitation in the southwest. We are watching a coastal low. I was going to mention this. That's going to form almost pretty likely later into this weekend. This is going to bring in lots of tropical moisture. However, it shouldn't be tropical itself. Maybe subtropical at first, but it's going to get high up in latitude and it will acquire more coastal and nor'easter type characteristics. Many people are happy about this because if we're seeing this now, who knows if it makes a return in winter as well. But you can see it does get pretty strong. 993 would deliver almost tropical storm force winds, heavy rain, and it would overall cause pretty major impacts, even though it's not a clear defined tropical storm. And it even lingers around, so we're gonna have to watch that. In the north, I'll have more updates on that in the coming videos for sure. But the time frame looks late this weekend into early next week. We might also have signs of our first winter storm for portions of the north central U.S. Watching this storm has been showing kind of consistent signs, especially on the GFS, as a wide swath of snow from Montana through North Dakota. Wouldn't be surprised if that does happen. And so after that, we just see these coast-to-coast storms. And overall, it's going to be a stormy, active pattern. And behind, we watch for more colder blasts as we get into some interesting patterns, which I'm going to go over right now. So, what I did describe in my last video is we actually have a typhoon called Typhoon. Oh my gosh, I think I forgot what it starts with. It starts with the H, but it's going to make a turn. It looks like it's gonna recurve. It's not on this map, but that could cause impacts down the line, especially for late October. So this is the pattern we have right now. Here's that coastal low merging with this upper level disturbance. Okay, that's gonna merge. It's gonna merge. Classic nor'easter setup. Like, this would be heavenly if this was winter in terms of snowfall, but not quite there yet. But does get a beautiful phase, get some precipitation going. Strong negative PNA going on in the west. Like, this is a very, very strong negative PNA. Either that is gonna cause a trough, strong trough, and a very nice tall ridge in the central and eastern U.S. And you'll see, I mean, the return flow, this coastal storm could lead to some coastal return flow, making it a little cooler, but overall that ridge takes over, and it's a consistent negative PNA. And you see that ridge really trying to build in some short coast to coast disturbances again, could cause some interesting swings. Then it gets cloudier, or more confusing, I'd say, as you start to see kind of this vault for cooler blasts to start funneling in. You start to see a ridge trying to build in the west, a slight positive PNA, but you also have this pretty big trough over here, and it's kind of wide, and so that makes it pretty interesting, maybe just leading to a gateway of cooler air, and then causing a ridge to kind of squeeze in between. So it's going to be an interesting pattern. Has been varying. GFS set a really tall positive PNA yesterday, which led to big time cool blast. Today, not so much, but it's going to keep waffling 384 hours out. This takes us to the end of October, so it's obviously going to be pretty inaccurate right now as we just got into the month. So, again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Try to keep it quick while packed with information you need to know. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.